Welcome to the Sputnik 1 space mission. The Sputnik 1 program was a series of unmanned space missions launched by the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union successfully launched Sputnik 1 on October 4th, 1957. The world's first artificial satellite was the size of a basketball and weighed 183 pounds. It took the artificial satellite about 98 minutes to orbit. It took the satellite about 98 minutes to orbit the Earth on its elliptical path. As you can see, that is the satellite, and it is about the size of a basketball. However, at 183 pounds, it is a ginormous basketball. And it was almost a launch failure. Sputnik 1 came perilously close to suffering the same fate as the United States TV-3 satellite, which was destroyed in a launch failure on December 6, 1957. Sputnik 1 was lofted by an R-7 rocket, which consisted of 4 first-stage boosters, known as Blocks B, V, G, and D, strapped onto a core second-stage Block A. During the launch, Block G's boosters' main engine reached its intended thrust levels later than expected. That is the rocket taking off for launch. Sputnik 1 wasn't in space long. Sputnik 1 was powered by 3 silver zinc batteries, which were designed to operate for 2 weeks. The batteries exceeded expectations as the satellite continued sending out its radio signal for 22 days. The spacecraft continued lapping Earth in silence for a few more months, its orbit decaying and sending the craft steadily closer to the planet. The satellite finally burned up in the atmosphere on January 4th, 1958. The device is 8 times heavier than one planned by U.S. Cold War and United States. The success of Sputnik had a major impact on the Cold War and the United States. Fear that they had fallen behind led the U.S. policymakers to accelerate space and weapons programs. In the late 1950s, Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev boasted about Soviet technological superiority and growing stockpiles of ICBMs. So, the United States worked simultaneously to develop its own ICBMs to counter what it assumed was a growing stockpile of Soviet missiles directed against the United States. The launch of Sputnik fueled both the space race and the arms race, in addition to increasing Cold War tensions as each country worked to prepare new methods of attacking the other. Eventually, lawmakers and political campaigners in the United States successfully exploited the fear of missile gap, developing between U.S. and Soviet nuclear arsenals in the 1960 presidential election, which brought John F. Kennedy to power over Eisenhower's Vice President, Richard Nixon. The Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962 served to remind both sides of the dangers of the weapons they were developing. That does it for the Sputnik 1 space mission. Yes, my fellow astronomers, this was an unmanned mission. Again, an unmanned mission. A mission made by man, but not carried out by man. So this was a satellite sent into space.